Hi guys! Today we want to discuss about how to crafting the brand positioning. But first, let's meet my team before the discussion. My name is Sheren. This is Felicia. And this is Veiske. We are from International Class Trisakti School of Management. Okay, now in this video, there is some points to discuss. Developing a brand positioning, choosing a competitive frame of reference, establishing a brand positioning, alternative approaches to positioning, and the last is positioning and branding for a small business. Now, let's get started how to developing a brand positioning. When we want to develop a brand positioning, we should understand first what is positioning and value proposition. Positioning means the act of designing a company's offering and image to occupy a distinctive place in the minds of the target market. Or we can say the process establishing identity of brand or product, so consumers perceive it in certain way. The goal of positioning is to locate the brand in the minds of consumers to maximize the potential benefit to the firm. The example of good brand positioning is Walmart. It has positioned themselves as the go-to store for the masses. An amazing marketplace, Walmart carries everything from food to tires, and all for less money. A position that telegraphs to consumers that you can get everything you want here. You don't need to shop around. One result of positioning is the successful creation of customer-focused value proposition. Value proposition is value a company promises to deliver to customers should they choose to buy their product. We can see in this table, Domino's is a pizza restaurant that has decided the convenience-minded pizza lovers as the company's target market, and the value proposition that the company's promise are the delicious hot pizza delivered promptly to your door. It's like the advantage from the company why consumers buy the products. After we know the definition, let's know how to decide on positioning. The first step is choosing a competitive frame of reference. Competitive frame of reference defines which other brands a brand competes with and which should thus be the focus of competitive analysis. We can say that it is the fancy way of describing the market or context in which you choose to position your brand. Here is the example to understand competitive frame of reference. Starbucks is one of the best examples of a brand using its competitive frame of reference and flawlessly delivering against it. But how and why? By creating a place that has become many a business persons, moms, students, and many others third home or outside of where you live and where you work or go to school. Starbucks defines its competitive frame of reference as an overall experience that people wanted to come and hang out in. Music, comfortable seating, Wi-Fi, plenty of electrical outlets, air conditioning, and coffee all support the overall brand experience that has become its competitive frame of reference. Now, there are two steps to choosing competitive frame of reference. The first is identifying competitors. In this step, you must understand who your competitors are, what they are offering, and how you fit into this competitive environment. And the second is analyzing competitors. As a company, we need to gather information about each competitor's real and perceived strengths and weaknesses, like conducting SWOT analysis. Once a company has identified its main competitors and their strategies, it must ask, what is each competitor seeking in the marketplace, and what drives each competitor's behavior? The second step is identifying potential points of difference and points of parity. Both of these are very important for making decisions on brand positioning. Now, let's learn more about this. Points of difference are attributes that consumers strongly associate with a brand, positively evaluate, and believe they could not find to the same extent with a competitive brand. It is basically what is different about the firm's product as compared to the most competitive offers. There are three determine whether a brand association can truly function as a point of difference. Number one is desirable to consumer. It means consumers must see the brand association as personally relevant to them. Next is deliverable by the company. It means company must have the internal resources and commitment to feasibly and profitably create and maintain the brand association in the minds of consumers. And the last is differentiating from competitors. It means consumers must see the brand association as distinctive and superior to relevant competitors. Next, we continue to points of parity. Points of parity defined as benefit associations that are not necessarily unique to the brand, but may in fact be shared with other brands. Types of associations come in three basic forms. Number one, category point of parity. It means attributes that consumers view as essential to a legitimate and credible offering within a certain product or service category. Next is correlational point of parity. It means potentially negative associations that arise from the existence of positive associations for brand. And the last is competitive point of parity. It means associations designed to overcome perceived weakness of the brand in light of competitors' point of difference. Let's look at the example of implementation points of difference and points of parity. An appropriate balance of points of difference versus points of parity is required for market success. Too much reliance on points of parity in the product's positioning, and it could be perceived as a me-too product offering. Me-too product means a product introduced by a company after it has seen that other companies are successful with the same type of product, and too little emphasis on points of parity, and the product might be perceived as not meeting the core need for the target market. Relating to the topics, we should understand multiple frames of reference and straddle positioning. Multiple frames of reference means a brand needs to identify more than one actual or potential competitive frame of reference. The example is McDonald's restaurant that identified as quick-serve restaurants and convenience shops. Straddle positioning means the positioning strategy adopted to create a dual image of the product in the minds of customers. Straddle positions allow brands to expand their market coverage and potential customer base. The example is BMW. When BMW first made its strong competitive push into the US market in the early 1980s, it positioned the brand as the only automobile that offered both luxury and performance, which is known as straddle positioning because it uses points of difference and points of parity across categories.
Choosing specific pops and pots. It is very important to build a strong brand and avoid the commodity trap. Marketers must start with the belief that you can differentiate anything. Michael Porter urged companies to build a sustainable competitive advantage. What is competitive advantage? Competitive advantage is a company's ability to perform in one or more ways that competitors cannot or will not match. But few competitive advantages are inherently sustainable, so there is a leverageable advantage. Leverageable advantage is one that a company can use as a springboard to new advantage. For example, like Microsoft has leveraged its operating system to Microsoft Office and then to networking applications. Means of differentiation. The desirable, deliverable, and differentiating benefits from a product or service will show as a point of difference for a brand. To identify possible means of differentiation, marketers have to match consumers' desire for benefit with their company's ability to deliver it. For example, they can design their distribution channels to make buying the product easier and more rewarding. Perceptual maps. Perceptual maps are visual representations of consumer perceptions and preferences. As it's shown in the picture A, there is a current perception for beverage brand. And also as it's shown in the picture B, there is a possibility to reposition the consumer's perceptions. It can be more contemporary image or it can have a lighter flavor. Emotional branding. Many marketing experts believe a brand positioning should have both rational and emotional components. In other words, it should contain points of difference and points of parity that appeal to both the head and the heart. It is very important but difficult for a brand to influence their consumer emotionally. But once the brand can influence their consumer emotionally, their consumer will have a high loyalty to the brand and will only buy the brand rather than other brands all the time. Brand mantras. What is brand mantras? A brand mantra is a 3 to 5 word articulation of the heart and soul of the brand and is closely related to other branding concepts like brand essence and core brand promise. Brand mantra's purpose is to ensure that all employees within the organization and all external marketing partners understand what the brand is most fundamentally to represent with consumers, so they can adjust their actions accordingly. Role of brand mantras. Brand mantras are powerful devices. It is different from slogan or tagline. Slogan or tagline are more intended for consumers, but brand mantra is for the internal personnel of the organization. There is a brand mantra to ensure internally about the brand, so the internal can represent well the brand to the consumer. How to designing a brand mantra? There are 3 criteria for brand mantra. The first is communicate. A good brand mantra should clarify what is unique about the brand. It may also need to define the category of business for the brand. The second is simplify. An effective brand mantra should be memorable. For that, it should be short, crisp, and vivid in meaning. The third is inspire. Ideally, the brand mantra should also stake out the ground that is personally meaningful and relevant to as many employees as possible. For example is Nike's internal mantra, that is authentic, athletic, and performance. Establishing a brand positioning. Once they have visioned the brand positioning strategy, marketers should communicate it to everyone in the organization so it guides their words and actions. Communicating category membership. There are 3 ways to convey a brand's category membership. The first is announcing category benefits. To reassure consumers that a brand will deliver on the fundamental reason for using a category, marketers frequently use benefits to announce category membership. Like industrial tools might claim to have durability and anticipates might announce their efficacy. The second is comparing to exemplars. Well-known, noteworthy brands in a category can also help a brand specify its category membership. It's like when Tommy Hilfiger was an unknown brand, advertising announced his status as a great US designer by associating him with Geoff Ribin, Stanley Blacker, Calvin Klein, and Perry Ellis, recognized members of that category. The third is relying on the product descriptor. The product descriptor that follows the brand name is often a concise means of conveying category origin. For example, Ford Motor Company invested more than $1 billion in a radical new 2004 model called the X-Trainer, which combined the attributes of an SUV, a minivan, and a station wagon. To communicate its unique position and to avoid association with its Explorer and Country Squire model, the vehicle, eventually called Freestyle, was designated a sports wagon.
Now we continue to communicating pops and pots. We have known that one common challenge in positioning is that many of the benefits that make up points of parity and points of difference are negatively correlated. Individual attributes and benefits often have positive and negative aspects, like example, low price versus high quality, or taste versus low calories, or even powerful versus safe. Consumers typically want to maximize both the negatively correlated attributes or benefits. Much of the art and science of marketing consists of dealing with trade-offs, and positioning is no different. The best approach clearly is to develop a product or service that performs well on both dimensions. After communicating pops and pots, now we move to monitoring competition. In assessing potential threats from competitors, there are three high-level variables. The first one is share of market. It means that the competitor's share of the target market. Then the second is share of mind. It means that the percentage of customers who name the competitor in responding to the statement, "Name the first company that comes to mind in this industry." And the last is share of heart. It means that the percentage of customers who name the competitor in responding to the statement, "Name the company from which you would prefer to buy the product." Let's see this example. The table shows the record for three hypothetical competitors. Competitor A enjoys the highest market share but is sleeping. Its mind share and heart share are also sleeping, probably because it's not providing good product availability and technical assistance. Competitor B is steadily gaining market share, probably due to strategies that are increasing its mind share and heart share. And competitor C seems to be stuck at a low level of market, mind, and heart share, probably because of its poor product and marketing attributes. Then we could generalize that companies that make steady gains in mind share and heart share will inevitably make gains in market share and profitability. Now our topic is alternative approach to positioning. Rather than outlining specific attributes or benefits, some marketing experts describe positioning a brand as telling a narrative or story. There are 5 elements of narrative branding. The first one is the brand story in terms of words and metaphors. The second is the consumer journey, or the way consumers engage with the brand over time and touch points where they come into contact with it. The third is the visual language or expression for the brand. The fourth is the manner in which the narrative is expressed experientially or the brand engages the sense. The fifth is the role the brand plays in the lives of consumers. Based on literary convention and brand experience, there are a framework for a brand story. The first one is setting. Setting includes the time, place, and context. Second is case. It means that the brand as a character, including its role in the life of the audience, its relationships and responsibilities, and its history or creation myth. Third is narrative arc. It means that the way the narrative logic unfolds over time, including actions, desired experiences, defining events, and the moment of epiphany. Last is language. It means that the authenticating voice, metaphors, symbols, themes, and leitmotifs. Building brands is a challenge for a small business with limited resources and budgets. When resources are limited, focus and consistency in marketing programs become critically important. Here are some specific branding guidelines for small businesses. The first one is find a compelling product or service performance advantage. As for any brand, demonstrable meaningful differences in product or service performance can be the key to success. Second is focus on building one or two strong brands based on one or two key associations. Small businesses often must rely on only one or two brands and key associations as points of difference for them. Next is encourage product or service trial in any way possible. A successful small business has to distinguish itself in ways consumers can learn about and experience. You can do like sampling or demonstrations. develop cohesive digital strategy to make the brand bigger and better. One advantage of the internet is it allows small firms to have a larger profile than they might otherwise. Create buzz and a loyal brand community. Small businesses often must rely on word of mouth to establish their positioning, but they actually can find public relations or social networking. Employ a well-integrated set of brand elements. In particular, they should develop a distinctive, well-integrated set of brand elements like brand names or logos that enhances both brand awareness and brand image. Leverage as many secondary associations as possible. Secondary associations here means like any persons, places, or things with potentially relevant associations. Last is creatively conduct low-cost marketing research. A variety of low-cost marketing research methods help small businesses connect with customers and study competitors. Thank you all for your attention. That's all about our presentation. See you next time. Bye-bye.